6 movies, 2 Cult Cinema Club nights. I'm ranking all 6 from worst to best, and I will save you from picking the wrong horror movie on your only free night of the week, because that's its own kind of tragedy. Let's get into it. A group of camp counselors gets stalked by this figure killer with a pair of garden shears and a serious grudge at a summer camp. Classic 80s setup. It was paired the same night with Friday the 13th Part 2, which may have led to its ruin. Listen, I was falling asleep during this one. I wish I could fast forward so bad. None of the characters are particularly likable, which, fine, that's the standard for slasher fodder. I expected that much going in, but the gap between the very adult-looking main cast playing teenagers took me out, and the actual child actors in the background scenes is jarring in a way I was not ready for. And can we talk about the killer's sheer budget? He throws away his weapons after every kill. He gets it stuck in a tree and the man just pulls out a brand new pair for the next victim. And another one. Quite the budget for a guy supposedly living alone in the woods. The mini effects are great. They always are. But great effects can't carry an entire movie on their own. And this one needed more than that. This is a 2.5 out of 5 Iplings and the first movie of the night. But don't bother. A group of friends gets isekai'd into the world of a cheesy and horny 80s slasher film. The final girl is the daughter of the actress portraying one of the first NPCs to die. Generally a cool concept. The oversaturated colors threw me off at first, but gradually it starts to make sense, since they are literally inside of a movie. The soundtrack is great, the actual main characters are somewhat likable, more than I can say for the slasher movie within the movie cast, who are forgettable fodder by design. On purpose, I get it, but still, the actors are very recognizable early to mid-2000 faces, which don't really fit with the 80s movie concept. Same with the styling in hair and clothes, still feels very 2010s. This isn't really a horror movie though. It's more of a comedy, action, drama. Once I stopped expecting to be scared, I had a much better time with it. But as a comedy, I should have lowered my expectations because this did not age well.
Anyone want to help me pick some strawberries?
Nope, but I'll give you a hand with those melons. Talking about her boobs.
The writing is so bad.
I don't think I laughed once. But to cry my eyes out, watching a horror comedy, that I did not expect. 3 out of 5 Iplings. A young girl gets possessed. Why? She played with a Ouija board. She had it coming. Her mom asked 2 priests for help. You know this one. Everyone knows this one. I don't think I've seen this movie. Watching it as an adult in 2026 felt strange. I have quoted this movie way too much for someone who supposedly never saw it before. It's iconic. It has a hold on pop culture for the past 50 plus years. And that has an impact on everyone to some level. And honestly, that did a disservice to the movie. 50 plus years of high built expectations to something scarier in my head than what I actually watched. What did hold up were the effects. For a movie this old, the practical work still looks great. 3 out of 5 Iplings for a good reminder that the hype can be its own kind of horror. 3 down, 3 to go. We're halfway through the ranking. If you like this review so far, this is exactly what we do every month in Cult Cinema Club. 3 movies, 1 theme, and a whole Discord call full of people spooked at the same time. If you are a fan of horror movies, this is just the thing for you. A group of friends finds a way to talk to spirits using an involved hand. Lovely. Only teenagers would do that, and it goes about as well as you would think. I saw this one in theaters on release here in Japan, and got me scared out of my wits. That's the kind of theater experience I want when I go to see a horror movie. The rewatch happened a couple of years later. At home, alone, lights on. Maybe that's why, this time around, the movie wasn't as scary. Some of that's probably just the VOD versus a dark theater, But I also paid more attention to the story this time. I get Mia's grief. I get her spiral. I just don't like her much. And that matters more the second time through. The younger brother's possession head smash is the only part that still gets me. Out of the whole cast, he's one of the only characters that I liked. 3 out of 5 Iplings. Camp counselors, again. This time we get Jason's first protagonist role as a killer for a very personal grudge. Coming off the first movie, this one feels like a step down. It's the same formula, but slightly off. You still get the horny camp counselors who just refuse to use their brains. Consequences? What's that? Classic. The pacing here is the real problem. There is barely any real action until the third act when Jason gets a speed therapy session. Overall, the series has stronger entries than this one. And for once, going out and getting drunk at a bar actually saves some lives. Not something I expect from a Friday the 13th movie, but here we are. 3.5 out of 5 Iplings, a small step up from The Burning. A documentary crew films an elderly woman with Alzheimer's. What starts as a medical study turns into something much darker than just memory loss. I went in completely blind on this one. Hadn't even watched the trailer, and I came out pleasantly surprised. The found footage angle works, the characters work, the slow reveal works. The escalation feels earned. It's not just chaos piled on for the sake of it. The detail I keep thinking about is the 2 guys from the film crew who simply get out of there. Things start getting weird.
Gavin train's pulling out, bro. Last call, man.
You need this paycheck as much as I do, man.
Exactly.
Please
Luis
don't
knows
leave.
how to be a team player. No.
Both of you.
Gavin.
Smart. Honestly, respect. That's exactly what I would do. And it's rare for a horror movie to let its father characters have that much common sense. Father characters making dumb decisions is a trope by now. 3.5 out of 5 Iplings, tied for the highest score of the month. So here's where all 6 movies land against each other. Keep the Burning. Great effects, not enough movie around them to back it up. The Exorcist earns its reputation, even if 50 years of hype worked against it in some ways. Talk to Me and Friday the 13th Part 2 both land solidly in the middle. And the 2 that actually surprised me, The Final Girls for making me ugly cry during a movie I picked up expecting jokes and slasher gore, not an isekai with family drama, and Deborah Logan, my highest score of the month, for delivering on a genre that usually lets me down, and for having the good sense to let its background characters just get out when things get weird. Coming next, on Cult Cinema Club this August, we did 80s Vampire Night with some more classic 80s horror movies like Friday Night and The Lost Boys, as well as some more summer choices for our sea and coastline horrors with The Fog and The Lighthouse later this month. I have already gone through almost every 2026 horror release, and I already guess which ones will disappoint me before they even come out. Want to know exactly which 2026 horror movies are worth your time before you spend it? Watch this video next! And if you want to join the Cult Cinema Club, make sure to join my Twitch. And I hope to see you guys the next session. Bye bye!